I'm so excited that you're here, Allie. This is my friend Allie. She's such a treasure. We met 2 years ago?
Exactly.
Okay. And we only met online for quite a while because it was pandemic life. And she's part of my fabulous cohort here where we live of wonderfully creative children's ministers. And she always has amazing ideas. And she's the most positive person. I love her so much. And it's an honor that you're here. Do you mind introducing yourself a little bit, telling everybody what you do?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am Reverend Allie Ruch. I'm a pastor here at Hopewell United Methodist Church, and I focus with children and family. So it's a real gift to be here today. I always love doing anything with Elizabeth, so this is a real joy for me.
You're so fun. You're so fun. Okay, so 3 simple questions. You ready? Three
Yes.
simple things, I mean. I had
Yes.
2 different titles in my head. Can you tell I keep going back and forth? It's 3 simple things. I'm sorry. At least that's what the thumbnail says that I made, so hopefully. Okay. Favorite resource. Whatever you consider a resource is a resource.
So recently I've been really into AI. So I know there's a lot of speculation about this and some controversy, but I really wanted to embrace a new opportunity and to kind of make my own decision about it. So I've been playing around with both Gemini and ChatGPT for probably about 6 months, I would say, and kind of testing like, what can this do? What can't this do? I think there are obviously limits to it. Like, let me be clear. I think that there are a lot of ways to use it and some ways to misuse it. But I've actually found it really interesting functioning in like a personal assistant kind of role. So it helps me a lot to do writing and editing, which are not my strengths necessarily. It helps me to think of ideas sometimes, which is really a fun thing to kind of kickstart. And it also has been just really interesting to get a different perspective and kind of a neutral perspective on some different things. So if I'm writing for a grant, let's say, maybe I'll say, hey, what is the main point of this text that I just put in, just to make sure that it's reinforcing what I would reinforce. So it has a tons of different uses, but for me, that's been something that's been worth playing around with.
That's really cool. So I'm going to ask you a question that I would then ask my husband, because my husband's a librarian and he's always telling me you have to use the correct search terms, Elizabeth. Otherwise, you're not going to get what you need. So have you found any tricks in how to phrase things?
Yeah, so it's all about your prompting. You're totally right about that. So the better the prompt you put in, the better response that you get. So I like to always start it out with act as, and then whatever it would be. So if I'm brainstorming, maybe I'll say act as a United Methodist children's pastor. Or if I'm writing, I'll say act as an editor, just to give it that frame of mind of like what it's bringing to the table. And then obviously putting in as much information as you can to the extent that it's helpful for you and time saving for you. And then once you start prompting it, it kind of gets to know your voice and your tone and how you say things, which I can understand why there's some controversy around that. But for me, that's kind of helpful to see some consistency in what's the tone that I use often, how can I challenge myself to do things a little bit differently, or maybe what's something new that I've been afraid to try or afraid to use that it will ask me about.
That's fascinating to think of it that way. I never thought of it that way, but I'm going to paraphrase, tell me if I'm wrong. It's helping you see things outside of the box that you ordinarily.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes, maybe this is just true for me, but maybe it's true working in children's ministry for other people too, that it feels like, oh my gosh, I have this great idea, but there's 25 reasons why I can't do that. And I don't think in my work with AI that it naturally approaches it that way. It kind of allows me to think about what are the advantages of it, what are some different ways to think around it so that some of those bigger ideas or more out of the box ideas can be a little bit more attainable.
So cool. So cool. I'm going to have to try it I never thought of using it for editing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Y'all have read my resources. You see that I need an editor. Holy moly, Andy. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you. All right. Next question. Favorite memory with children, families, and if it's hard to narrow, that's fine.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow. So I think I've been in this role for about 3 years, give or take, a different iteration of this. But as I've kind of pursued my pastoral call and looked at how to flesh that out with young families, I've really loved this integration of younger children into the worship space. So every year we have like a Children and Youth Sunday, which I know that a lot of churches do. And we've really wanted to push ourselves to make sure that children are represented everywhere on that Sunday and continue to be represented from then on. So I think that first Children and Youth Sunday where we had a 9-year-old preacher and we had a ton of kids doing music and greeting and drawing the bulletin cover and writing the liturgy and reading the liturgy and just seeing the beauty of what God does in the midst of their lives and hearts, and then making sure that that's a priority all year long. So I think that was a real turning point for me to see that God is moving amongst so many different kinds of people and different ages of people, and we all have something to learn. So for me, that first Children and Youth Sunday, I'll never forget. And I think it's really shaped my ministry and the ministry here at Hopewell in a really positive way.
That's so cool. And you can all tell why I love Allie, because she said, we learned from it and we continue to apply it going forward. Like it wasn't a one-time thing. I love that so much.
Yeah, we'll often have like a 9-year-old worship leader who's reading all the liturgies, leading the songs, or we'll have, 8-year-olds running our tech team, or greeting or ushering or preaching. And it's just something that I think is really applicable more than once a year. But once you see it in its fullness, it's really hard to go back from that when you see God kind of shine in that way.
Love it. I love it. Okay. Last question. Favorite way to recharge?
I love to read. So I'm up to 40 books this year, which I'm very proud of. Yes. I also love to watch reality television. So there's two sides of me kind of, but both of them just give me a mental break and allow me to hear from another person's perspective or to kind of just learn something new. So I love both of those things to recharge.
That's so fun. That's so fun. I have this term with my kids. You know how sometimes books, they consider them kind of fluffy or whatever. We call that like potato chip reading. You need like this palate cleanser. So you need something, because then you're rested and the juices start flowing again.
So, brain candy.
Yeah. No judgment on the reality TV. Not at all. Do your thing. Oh gosh. All right. So the bonus question: how many browser tabs you got open?
0.
You got 0. Oh, are you?
Yes. I try to close out everything once I'm done with it. So there are times that I have 50 open at a time if I'm working on something. But once that's done, I try to keep some order. So right now, 0 tabs.
Oh my!
I'm pretty proud of that.
Gosh, that's impressive. Not me. I think I have.
Don't ask me how many emails I have. Just ask me.
I'm not asked. Oh, my almost 21-year-old looked at my phone and she's like, "You have 4 emails in that box, Mom." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty good, right?" She's like, "You have 4 emails. Do something about that." I'm like, "It's not that simple, girl. Not as simple."
You would not be that happy with me for sure.
It was just funny. I'm like, "Go talk to your dad. He's got a lot." I sold him out. Sorry, Tom, if you watch this.
Sorry.
Allie, thank you so much for being here. Bless you. Thank you. She's wonderful. We will, let's see. I will have my email on this, so you can email me if you want to get to Allie directly, because I feel bad putting other people's email addresses out on the World Wide Web where Lulus go. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. You're such a blessing. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet you all. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.